I never believed in fate until that stormy afternoon on the beach turned my world upside down. Picture this, waves crashing like thunder, rain pelting down, and there I was, a single dad chasing after my giggling 6-year-old daughter, Mia, who thought it was the perfect time to build sandcastles in a downpour. Little did I know, the woman who'd soon become my everything was just a few steps away, umbrella in hand, calling out to us. If you're watching this, hit that like button if you've ever had a moment that changed your life forever, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that remind us love can strike when we least expect it. My name is Alex Thompson, and life hadn't been kind to me in the years leading up to that day. 3 years earlier, I'd lost my wife, Sarah, to a sudden illness. One moment, we were planning family vacations and dreaming about Mia's future. The next, I was alone, burying the love of my life and trying to hold it together for our little girl. Mia was only 3 then, too young to fully grasp the loss, but I saw it in her eyes every night when she asked why mommy wasn't coming back. I threw myself into work as a graphic designer, freelancing from home to be there for her school drop-offs and pickups. Dating? That was a foreign concept. Who had time for romance when every day was a battle to keep the grief at bay and the household running? That's where Emily came in, or Miss Harper, as Mia knew her. Emily was Mia's first-grade teacher at Willow Creek Elementary, a small school in our coastal town of Seaview. From the parent-teacher conferences, I knew she was kind, patient, and had a way of making every kid feel special. Mia adored her, coming home with stories about how Miss Harper turned math into games and reading into adventures. I'd nod and smile, but honestly, I kept my distance. She was young, maybe 28, with warm brown eyes and a laugh that could light up a room, but she was off limits. Teachers and parents mixing? That was a recipe for complications I didn't need. The school year flew by, and summer break arrived like a much-needed breath of fresh air. Mia and I planned a simple getaway to the beach, just the two of us, building memories to fill the void Sarah left behind. But on the first day, the weather turned nasty. Gray skies loomed, and by midday, a storm rolled in. Most people packed up and left, but Mia, with her boundless energy, insisted on staying. "Daddy, the rain makes the sand stickier," she proclaimed, her pigtails dripping wet. I couldn't say no to that infectious enthusiasm, so there we were, huddled under a flimsy beach tent, laughing as the wind tried to steal it away. That's when I heard her voice. "Mia? Mr. Thompson? What on earth are you two doing out here?" I looked up, and there was Emily, jogging toward us with an oversized umbrella, her sundress plastered to her from the rain. She lived nearby, she explained, and had come for a walk before the storm hit. Now, she was worried about us getting soaked. Mia squealed in delight, dragging her teacher into our makeshift fort. "Miss Harper. Come build with us." Emily hesitated for a second, glancing at me with those expressive eyes, but then she smiled and knelt down in the sand. Just like that, the 3 of us were constructing the most elaborate sandcastle imaginable, complete with moats and towers, while the rain drummed a rhythmic beat around us. As the storm eased into a drizzle, we talked. Really talked. Not the surface-level chit-chat from school events, but the kind that peels back layers. I opened up about Sarah, how her death had left me numb, how I second-guessed every parenting decision, fearing I'd fail Mia. Emily listened, her hand gently touching my arm in a gesture of comfort that sent an unexpected spark through me. Then she shared her own story. She'd grown up in a broken home, with parents who fought more than they loved. Teaching became her escape, her way to give kids the stability she never had. But lately, she'd been feeling lonely, questioning if her dedication to her job left room for anything else. "I pour everything into my students," she said softly, "but sometimes I wonder who's there for me." By the time the sun peeked through the clouds, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, something had shifted. Mia fell asleep in my lap, exhausted from the excitement, and Emily and I sat there, watching the waves calm. "This beach has a way of washing away the old," she murmured. I nodded, feeling a warmth I hadn't known in years. We exchanged numbers, just in case Mia needed summer reading tips, but we both knew it was more than that. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Emily and I started texting, innocent at first, sharing funny Mia anecdotes or book recommendations. Then came the coffee meetups, disguised as discussions about Mia's upcoming school year. But the beach had planted a seed, and it grew fast. One evening, I invited her over for dinner. Mia helped me cook spaghetti, her favorite, and the three of us laughed around the table like a family. It felt right, natural. Yet, doubts crept in. What if this crossed professional lines? Emily worried about her job. Teachers dating parents wasn't forbidden, but it could invite gossip. And me? I battled guilt. Was I betraying Sarah's memory by letting someone new in? The first real challenge hit when school resumed. Whispers started in the parent circles. Someone had seen us at the local cafe. Emily faced awkward questions from colleagues, and I overheard Mia's classmates teasing her about Miss Harper being her new mommy. It stung. Mia came home in tears one day, confused and upset. "Daddy, is Miss Harper going away like Mommy?" she asked, her little voice breaking my heart. I held her close, promising I'd fix it, but inside, I was terrified. Emily and I argued for the first time that night. "Maybe we should slow down," she said, tears in her eyes. "I can't risk hurting Mia, or losing my job." I felt the walls closing in, the familiar ache of loss threatening to swallow me again. But love, real love, doesn't back down easily. I took a deep breath and decided to fight for us. First, I talked to Mia openly, explaining that Miss Harper was special to us, but she'd never replace Mommy. Mia's face lit up. She'd been hoping for this all along. Then, Emily and I met with the school principal, laying everything out transparently. To our relief, he was supportive, as long as we kept things professional on campus. The gossip faded, replaced by quiet acceptance. It wasn't easy. There were nights of doubt, therapy sessions to process my grief, and honest conversations about blending our lives. Emily opened up about her fears of commitment, rooted in her childhood, and I learned to let go of the past without forgetting it. As fall turned to winter, our bond deepened. We took weekend trips back to that beach, now our special place. Mia thrived, her drawings filled with the three of us holding hands. One crisp evening, under a blanket of stars, I got down on one knee. "Emily, you've taught me that life doesn't end with loss, it evolves. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down her face as she said yes, and Mia jumped into our arms, completing the circle. Looking back, that rainy day on the beach wasn't just a chance encounter, it was the universe's way of saying second chances exist. We faced storms, literal and figurative, but emerged stronger, a family forged in love and resilience. If this story touched your heart, remember, no matter how broken you feel, love can find you when you're ready. Hit that like button if it made you believe in happy endings, and subscribe to the channel for more tales of hope and healing. Who knows? Your beach moment might be just around the corner. I never believed in fate until that stormy afternoon on the beach turned my world upside down. Picture this, waves crashing like thunder, rain pelting down in sheets, and there I was, a soaked, exhausted single dad, chasing after my 6-year-old daughter, Mia, who was laughing wildly as she tried to build a sandcastle in the middle of a downpour. Sand stuck to her cheeks, her pigtails dripped like ropes, and she shouted over the wind, "Daddy, look! The rain is helping." Little did I know, the woman who would soon become our everything was running toward us, umbrella flapping wildly, calling our names like she'd known us forever. If you've ever had one moment, one single, impossible moment, that rewrote your entire future, smash that like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss the next story that might just remind you love still finds a way, even when you've stopped looking. My name is Alex Thompson. I'm 34 now, but 3 years ago I felt 100. That was when Sarah, my wife, Mia's mom, the woman who made every ordinary day feel like magic, got sick. It started with a headache she laughed off. Then came the fatigue, the tests, the doctor's quiet voice saying words no one should ever hear, aggressive, inoperable, months. We fought. God, we fought. Experimental treatments, prayers whispered in hospital corridors, promises we made to each other in the dark. But in the end, the disease won. I held her hand as she slipped away, Mia asleep in the chair beside us, too young to understand why Mommy wasn't waking up anymore. After the funeral, the world kept turning, but I didn't. I became a ghost in my own life. I worked from home as a freelance graphic designer, logos, websites, anything that paid the bills and let me be there when Mia got off the bus. I cooked mac and cheese from a box because it was what she liked. I read her the same bedtime stories Sarah used to read, my voice cracking on the familiar lines. Every night after Mia fell asleep, I sat on the couch staring at the empty space where Sarah used to curl up beside me, wondering how a house could feel so loud when it was only the two of us. Mia was my anchor. She had Sarah's bright hazel eyes and that same stubborn tilt to her chin when she wanted something. She asked about her mom constantly at first, where did Mommy go? Can we call her? And each question felt like a fresh wound. Over time the questions came less often, but the sadness never really left, it just learned to hide behind her smiles. That's why the beach trip mattered so much. Summer break had just started, and I wanted to give her something joyful, something that wasn't shadowed by memories. Seaview was only a 2-hour drive, a sleepy coastal town with wide stretches of sand and a boardwalk that smelled like fried dough and sunscreen. We rented a tiny cottage 2 blocks from the water. I packed peanut butter sandwiches, her favorite juice boxes, and the little red bucket Sarah had bought her years ago. Mia bounced in her car seat the whole way, singing made-up songs about mermaids and pirates. The first morning was perfect, blue sky, gentle waves, Mia racing ahead with her bucket swinging. But by afternoon on day 2, the sky turned angry. Dark clouds rolled in fast, the kind that make you feel small. Most families packed up and left. Not Mia. Daddy, rain makes the best castles, she insisted, already kneeling in the wet sand. I sighed, pulled our cheap beach tent over us like a flimsy shield, and sat cross-legged while she patted wet sand into lumpy towers. Then I heard footsteps splashing through puddles. Mia? Mr. Thompson? What in the world are you two doing out here? I looked up, rain dripping off my baseball cap, and there she was, Emily Harper, Mia's first-grade teacher. Miss Harper to everyone at Willow Creek Elementary. She wore a light yellow sundress now soaked through, her dark hair plastered to her face, holding a huge golf umbrella that was doing almost nothing against the wind. She looked half exasperated, half amused. Mia shrieked with delight. Miss Harper! Come build with us. Emily hesitated, eyes flicking to me for permission. I shrugged, suddenly aware of how ridiculous we must look. She won't take no for an answer, I said. Trust me. Emily laughed, that warm, unguarded laugh I'd only heard from a distance at school events, and dropped to her knees beside Mia. Okay, but we're making this the biggest, strongest castle on the beach. Deal? They worked together like they'd done it 100 times. Mia bossed us around happily. Emily's fingers were quick and clever, shaping turrets and carving windows with a stick. I mostly handed them shells for decoration and tried not to stare at how natural they looked together. Rain drummed on the tent. Wind tugged at the corners. And somehow, in the middle of the chaos, we started talking. Not small talk. Real talk. I told her about Sarah, not the polished version I gave at parent-teacher conferences, but the raw truth. How losing her felt like losing half my lungs, how I still reached for her in the middle of the night, how I was terrified I wasn't enough for Mia. Emily listened without interrupting, her eyes soft and steady. When I finished, she spoke quietly. I get it, she said. Not the same way, but I get the lonely part. She told me her story then. Grew up in a house where love was conditional and shouting was the default language. Her parents divorced when she was 12, her mom remarried quickly, her dad disappeared into his work. Emily became the peacemaker, the good girl who never caused trouble. Teaching became her safe place, she could give kids the attention and consistency she'd craved. But the job consumed her. Late nights grading, weekends planning lessons. She hadn't been on a real date in 2 years. I keep telling myself I'm fine, she admitted, tracing a moat around the castle with her finger. But sometimes I wonder if I'm just hiding. The rain slowed to a drizzle. The sky cracked open with late afternoon gold. Mia yawned, curled against my side, and fell asleep clutching a handful of wet sand. Emily and I sat in comfortable silence, watching the waves smooth out. Before she left, she wrote her number on a scrap of napkin from my cooler. In case Mia has questions about her summer reading packet, she said with a small smile. We both knew it wasn't just about reading packets. The text started innocently enough. Mia drew a picture of our sandcastle today. She wants to know if you liked it. Tell her it was the best castle I've ever seen. Red heart. Then coffee. To discuss Mia's transition to 2nd grade, we told ourselves. But the conversation stretched longer each time, books we loved, music we played when no one was listening, dreams we'd shelved because life got in the way. One evening I invited her to dinner. Nothing fancy, spaghetti, garlic bread, salad from a bag. Mia helped set the table, chattering non-stop. When Emily walked in, Mia threw her arms around her legs like she'd been waiting her whole life for this exact moment. We ate at the little kitchen table, candles flickering because the power flickered earlier from a summer storm. Laughter filled the room, real, easy laughter. For the first time in years, the house didn't feel haunted. But joy like that doesn't come without shadows. When school started again in August, the whispers began. A mom saw us at the cafe. Another spotted Emily's car parked near my house one Saturday. The parent group chat lit up with speculation. Isn't that against the rules? Someone typed. She's his daughter's teacher. Emily got called into a meeting with the principal. Not disciplinary, yet, but a gentle reminder about boundaries and appearances. She came home shaken. I love my job, Alex. I can't lose it. I felt sick. We can stop, I offered, even though the words tasted like ash. If it's too much. No, she said fiercely. I don't want to stop. I need to know we're careful. The real blow came from Mia. She came home from school one Friday in tears. Kids had teased her, your dad's stealing Miss Harper. She's gonna be your new mom and then she'll leave too. Mia ran to her room and slammed the door. When I finally coaxed her out, she looked up at me with those big, wounded eyes. Daddy, is Miss Harper going to go away like Mommy? My heart shattered all over again. I pulled her into my lap on the couch. No, baby. Miss Harper isn't going anywhere. Mommy had to go because she was very sick. That's different. And Miss Harper, she cares about us a lot. But we're going to talk about everything together, okay? No secrets. That night Emily and I sat on my back porch after Mia was asleep. We cried, both of us. We argued quietly about slowing down, about protecting Mia, about whether this was even fair to her. Maybe we're being selfish, Emily whispered. Maybe, I said. But maybe we're also allowed to be happy. We decided to fight for it. First, I talked to Mia again, age-appropriately, honestly. I showed her pictures of Sarah and explained that loving someone new didn't erase the old love. Mia listened, then asked the question that broke me open, can Miss Harper be part of our family, but Mommy still be my mommy in heaven? Yes, I told her, tears streaming. Always. Emily met with the principal again, this time with me. We laid everything bare. We were serious. We'd keep all school interactions strictly professional. We'd prioritize Mia above everything. To our relief, he nodded. As long as it doesn't affect the classroom, I don't see a problem. Just be discreet. The gossip eventually faded. Kids moved on to new dramas. Parents found other things to talk about. Fall turned to winter. We fell into a rhythm. Emily came over for homework help and stayed for dinner. We took weekend drives to the beach, even when it was cold, bundling Mia in blankets and building bonfires. Emily taught Mia how to skip stones. I taught Emily how to make Sarah's famous hot chocolate. We laughed, we argued about silly things like whether pineapple belongs on pizza, it doesn't, and we healed, slowly, together. One crisp December evening, we went back to that same stretch of beach. Stars glittered above, waves whispered against the shore. Mia ran ahead with a flashlight, hunting for shells. I took Emily's hand. I've spent years thinking my story ended the day Sarah left, I said. But you showed me it was just a chapter. You brought color back into our world. You love my daughter like she's your own. You make me want to be better. I dropped to one knee, pulled the simple silver ring from my pocket, the one I'd carried for weeks, waiting for the right moment. Emily Harper, will you marry us? She gasped, tears shining in the moonlight. Mia ran back, eyes wide. Say yes. Say yes. Emily laughed through her tears. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. Mia launched herself into our arms. The three of us stood there, wrapped together, while the ocean sang its endless lullaby. We got married the following summer, small ceremony on that very beach. Mia scattered petals, wearing a white dress with seashells sewn along the hem. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Mia shouted, "No way. This is the best day ever. Life isn't perfect now. We still have hard days." Mia has moments when she misses her mom fiercely. Emily and I argue about money, about schedules, about whose turn it is to do dishes. Grief doesn't vanish, it just learns to coexist with joy. But every time we walk that beach, hand in hand, Mia skipping ahead, I remember that rainy afternoon when everything changed. The storm passed. The sun came out. And love, messy, unexpected, beautiful love, found us when we were too broken to look for it. If you're watching this and your heart feels heavy, hear me, healing doesn't have a deadline. Second chances don't come with expiration dates. Sometimes the person who changes everything is already in your orbit, waiting for the storm to bring you together. So if this story moved you, if it reminded you to keep hoping, keep loving, keep showing up, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because there are so many more stories like this waiting to be told. Your beach moment. It might be closer than you think.